So we didn't really know what we wanted to do for spring break, and we realized that the tournament was in Katy, and we just decided we wanted to go.
You know, we were actually driving back from spring break, so we weren't there for the whole tournament, but we saw, you know, through social media that we were playing in the championship game in the Southland Conference, and that if we win that game, then we're going to be going to the NCAA tournament for the first time in school history. So we said we've got to stop there and go to the game.
It kind of felt like a home game with how many alumni were there. I wasn't expecting to see so much purple in the crowd, even in Houston.
That whole arena was ACU fans. I think we took over that arena.
Just amazing atmosphere because we were in the front row and there was just purple all around us. And we just got to watch the players warm up. We got there an hour early, and just seeing them embrace all the fans that were there, it was awesome.
You know, even when we were winning in the second half, we kept thinking there's no way we're going to win, just because it doesn't feel real that we'd be playing in an NCAA tournament game when it hasn't even been a possibility for the first, 100 years of our existence.
You could kind of feel the energy swelling up as just every time we scored, it was just an eruption of joy.
When I knew they were going to win was when Hayden Farquhar hit those 2 threes.
We were already high-fiving and hugging, and we're telling each other, this is it, we're going to do this.
He hits the one at the top of the arc, and he goes back. I can see him celebrating, and he's just got his head high. But then the second three-pointer, I already said, he's in the corner, grabs it, he's wide open, stares at the UNO defense like, all right, great, leaving me wide open, lets it fly, makes it, and I'm right there behind him. And to see that was just terrific. I mean, we were going to win the game.
And to watch the seniors walk off the floor with about a minute left, it was just awesome watching Coach Golding and them embrace each other.
You know, it's just hard to describe. It's just, you're not even playing, but for me, it was like I was with this team, with both these teams the entire time. And it's just very emotional to see them take down these teams and become the Southland champs.
So when the clock finally hit 0 and we won, I mean, you could probably see through the television how excited all the ACU fans were, jumping up and down. The fact that we're, you know, it's hard to believe, it's hard to put into words, actually feeling like, you know, a Division I program that's going to the big dance.
And being on the court with them while they were celebrating, you know, I remember Jalen crying with one of the coaches. It's just hard to describe that feeling for them. And then for me, just as a student journalist, being there to witness that in my senior year is just amazing.
There were tears being shed because it took a lot to get to that point. And you could feel how much it meant to those players, to the coaches.
We got to go on the court whenever they were cutting down the net and take pictures with all the players. And we got to see Hayden and Paul, and we sang our club song on the court.
I went on the court and celebrated. I got a picture with the trophy with one of the coaches and got to watch them cut the net down, which is what every college student dreams of when you're supporting the team, is to watch that net come down and, you know, hoist the trophy in the air. So, you know, they're playing "We Are the Champions" in the arena, and they're talking about ACU. We're the champions of the Southland Conference, and that was an incredible experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was an awesome experience. We got to see the players and the athletes just with the biggest smiles on their faces. And, you know, it was an experience that made history, and it's something that I'll never forget. Specifically, you know, the moment cutting down the net and the coaches, the emotions of the players, it was just all so vivid.
It was kind of surreal. It took a while to actually believe that, hey, this is happening.
Well, I was still in Katy that Sunday morning, and when I heard that they were going to have a watch party, I knew I had to be back in Abilene by that time.
I talked to some of my friends, and we were all like, yeah, let's go to that, because all the guys are going to be there, all the players are going to be there.
About 10-15 minutes before the show turned on, the Wildcat Stadium just got flooded. That club level was just packed with students and parents and fans and alumni.
The energy there was, again, kind of off the charts. Everybody's really excited. I know we were all excited to just, for the first time ever, to be a part of March Madness. So I don't think there was anybody there that didn't have a smile on their face.
The coach invited everybody to come down and circle around the team to just be a part of that moment.
But yeah, so none of us had any idea, of course, where we were going to go. Everybody had their ideas, I guess. But yeah, it was kind of just like every time you could tell people, like, okay, this could actually be where we get seated. Everyone was just kind of like on the edge of their seats.
And as I remember, as they were announcing all of the top seeds, everyone held their breath every single time a top seed was announced, just hoping ACU's name would be called right then. And I'm actually kind of glad that it wasn't till later in the show, because you had that energy just continuing to build and build. And
people were, whispering about, we don't want to play Tennessee, or we do want to play, whoever. And so every time for sure that they announced the 15th seed, it was either like almost like a sigh of like, they didn't choose us yet. But then when they did, place went nuts.
Whenever we saw, not only were we not a playing game, we were a 15 seed. We weren't a 16 seed, so that shows that kind of the committee respected us.
To see ACU's logo up there next to such a prestigious basketball school was just an unforgettable experience for myself, for everyone that was there.
And then we were playing Kentucky, who has probably the biggest fan base in college basketball. I mean, they're putting us on a primetime game. It was really cool. At the same time, really scary, knowing that we're playing Kentucky. But everyone was just so excited.
Coming back from the tournament after we had won, I had never in my life seen so much excitement on this campus about any ACU sports team.
I mean, that day was, even though we weren't in Jacksonville, we weren't in Katy, it was kind of a great day on campus. And I don't know, I had one class, it was a workout class. I get there and I'm talking to everybody like, how about those Wildcats? And
just the talk. I mean, you'd walk up to any table in the library and you hear people talking about it.
Being in the same conversation as these huge D1 schools that we watch on television every week, it was really cool. And to see kind of the passion and the excitement of the student body rally around a sports team, it was something that I've never seen at ACU.
The whole time I was like, I totally want to go, I totally want to go. And they're like, it's Jacksonville, Florida. And I was like, ooh, okay, like start looking up flights, like $400. Like there's no way I can do that.
As soon as I found out that we were able to go to March Madness, my uncle was a pilot for an airline, and so he was able to get us some passes. So I called him as soon as I found out. I was like, hey, can we get some passes? It'd be really awesome if we can go to this tournament, but we have to be back right afterwards for something else. So we can't drive, we can only do this if we can fly.
So then I'm asking people like if they're driving, all the people that I know, they're flying. We get a couple girls that are like, no, I'll drive with you. So I'm like, okay, great. And then like we get our tickets, and then they start falling off. They're like, no, we can't miss school.
For this, it was like, man, I go to ACU. This is the first time we're ever gonna go to the NCAA tournament. I'm a senior. I'm not gonna get this chance again to be able to go see us play for the first time, to play Kentucky, and to see us kind of make our grand entrance into Division I. I thought, I'll do it.
So I'm locked in. We've bought the tickets at this point with a whole group of friends that are going because we've talked about wanting to go. But my travel plans aren't locked in. So it's like I either ditch the $100 for the ticket or I figure out a way to get there. I text one person that I know regularly shows up to games. I'm like, hey, any chance that you're driving to this game? And he was like, yeah, actually, me and 2 other people. So that's how I got up there. Rode with some strangers, but now they're my friends.
That Monday night, getting a text from Lance Fleming that we had a spot on the plane was unreal.
And it's kind of crazy because it's a quick turnaround, but we're getting packed, we're getting ready to go. I probably didn't get to sleep till 2 or 3 that morning.
It was crazy. I was talking to Max and we were thinking about how this has been our dream for 4 years. We never thought we'd get to do this, but now all of our hard work is paying off alongside the basketball players' work paying off.
Wake up and we're going to the Abilene airport and everybody's showing up and we're all there, everybody that's been on this journey. I talked to several of the players and saying, man, can you believe where we're about to go right now? And it's just a surreal thing that happened.
So on Wednesday, we go into the arena, we pick up our press passes. It's kind of a little bit overwhelming, and we have a special back media room, which is huge, nothing like I've ever seen before. We get to talk to the players. That excitement was really cool leading up to it.
We had a piece to work on for the Dallas Morning News, which was pretty incredible to have that experience. We were just talking about how they made the transition from Division II to Division I and how worth it it's been and how incredible this journey has been up until now to make the NCAA tournament.
When we go to the ACU press conferences, that excitement was really cool leading up to it, and then we got to watch them practice, and I remember Coach Golding was laying on the floor and jumping and doing all kinds of things that normal coaches don't do. And so getting to see how personal it was between him and the players and him and us was really cool.
So we left Wednesday at 5, and so we drove through the night, and we got there around 1 o'clock Florida time.
Well, the day started at 4:30 a.m. for us because we had to get to the airport early for that flight to Atlanta and then to Jacksonville. And even at 5 a.m. at the airport, people were cheering us on from Dallas.
It was such a fun experience all day because, you know, we had people stopping us in the airports, people that weren't related to ACU at all, but they would see our shirts and be like, hey, we're rooting for you guys, like beat Kentucky. We landed in Florida, we go to these restaurants, and there are people that are stopping us to be like, hey, like ACU, that's so cool that you guys are in this tournament.
Oh man. So the game started at 7 p.m. and we probably got outside the arena at noon. Just because, you know, we knew that was probably where things were going to be happening. There's a lot of games going on outside the arena.
You could feel the energy on the outside of the arena. They had tailgates going on and different raffles and cornhole and the usual tailgate experience. But I guess going into the game, you know, there were a bunch of Rowdy fans leaving the game before us, and they were all cheering ACU. They were begging us to beat Kentucky.
And immediately, an LSU fan, they see my ACU shirt, say, hey, go ACU, welcome to the dance, beat Kentucky. Like, we hate Kentucky. And, you know, people were just so excited to see us there for the first time.
I had LSU fans, Kentucky fans, they're giving me high fives, like, we're rooting for y'all today. I'm like, wait a second. But it was a cool opportunity because it opened up a lot of conversations to say, like, what are we about?
And so it really was like being an ambassador for ACU all the way out there in Florida.
As the SGA president, I knew that I wanted to put on an event for students for this historic moment in our school's history. And it's funny because after we won the Southland tournament, we weren't even thinking about a watch party. It wasn't until we returned to campus that next Sunday that we realized we have to do something, and it has to be big.
Normally when we plan events that size, we have several months to prepare. So preparing an event to that caliber in a matter of 2 to 3 days was absolutely wild.
Part of it was just everyone was going. Like, there wasn't anyone you talked to who said they were, no, I'm going to watch it at my house. It was the question wasn't, are you going? It's what time are you getting there?
The moment that stood out for me was looking outside those doors and seeing just 1,000 people lined up ready to come into Moody Coliseum.
But looking outside the windows and seeing that line stretch all the way across the campus center was both amazingly encouraging and terrifying.
Okay, yeah, that was crazy. It was so I planned on getting here at, I think the doors open at 5:30. That was my plan, was just get there when the doors opened. And my friend who was already in line texted me and was like, hey, there's already a line, you should probably get here. And so I showed up, the line was all the way back, like past gate of Fountain. And so that was really cool to just see how many people were excited and willing to come watch the game.
And once the gates opened, we were in, and we went to the bottom of the arena to make sure the players knew that we were there. And seeing them realize that we came all the way from Abilene was just awesome. Paul and Hayden seeing us was pretty cool.
I think probably the coolest thing was walking in the arena and looking up at the scoreboard and seeing the UK logo next to the ACU logo. You know, the logo of like the most historic college basketball program ever. And then us.
Well, I mean, you know, just when they run out on the court, it was just, it was different.
I mean, the atmosphere was insane just because people are, I mean, it was insane for us because we were like, oh, no, like we're new to this.
But when they're out there warming up with Kentucky, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it was kind of like this weird thing where it's not just a team you're watching for like entertainment. It's like you're rooting for those guys because they are your friends. And so it goes past just like, yeah, this is my school and we're playing to win.
Once the game actually started, it was incredible just watching the excitement in the room. I think too, seeing Moody completely full, packed out with students, just kind of fueled everyone's excitement about the men's basketball team.
I was not expecting the excitement that we got from the fans, but the eruption from the crowd, even when it was just a 2-point shot, I mean, it was incredible.
When we got on TV, we were, Evan and Austin actually were pointing out where the cameras were, so they were looking for them.
But on the court, you have the guy under the basket, and he kind of caught a glance of our sign during a dead ball, because every dead ball we were screaming and pointing at our sign trying to draw attention. And he does this, so we put the suit sign up, and he gives us hey, 1 second, and he's pointing his camera at us, so we're kind of like, we don't know when it's going to be shown, and the light turns red on that camera, and we knew that we were being filmed, but it wasn't being shown in the arena, so we didn't know where it was being shown, if it was CBS or ESPN or what was going on. And about 10 seconds later, both me and Austin's phones get just blown up. 20 to 30 texts, phone calls are coming in. I was like, hey, we just had 6 seconds of fame there in front of the whole country. So it was really cool to have that exposure and also just to represent the school.
And so for me, it was like just a really cool thing to be like rooting for my friends on a stage that big.
But I think what it's more incredible is being in this position is seeing and knowing the guys that are on the team and the way that they've worked the last 4 years for that, and that they get the opportunity to make history for the school in that sense.
Probably the guy I'm closest to on the team is Hayden Farquhar. And so getting to watch him go, I mean, we met freshman year, we're in the same social club, so we pledged together sophomore year. And so getting to watch him go out and spend his last game up on that stage was just incredible.
It was a really proud moment, honestly. I don't know, I'm gonna get teary-eyed about it. Peyton Ricks was in my Wildcat Week group. And so from the beginning, known him since freshman year, and gotten to watch kind of from a bird's eye view of his experience. And then just even this last year, he accepted Christ, and just the way that has changed his life and the way that his leadership, you can see it. And so you can just see his leadership on the court, and the fact that there's millions of people watching that, that's the purpose of it.
Nobody here has experienced that before, and so I don't know, there's a lot of pride too, just knowing my guys are out there playing, and they're playing against some of the baddest basketball players out there, and to watch them go toe to toe with them was pretty awesome.
Especially as a student journalist, when people look back and they write about our first time, they're going to be looking at our pictures and our articles and our interviews. But I hope that I told the story well enough and Max told the story well enough that as we close our chapter with ACU, it just opens something else in the future for other people to get to experience that as well. And to not really take anything for granted. I mean, when we were freshmen, we never thought 4 years from now we're going to be covering March Madness for our own school. And so knowing that we got to walk alongside them in history was amazing.
To see where we were whenever I first got here as a freshman and where we are now, I never would have thought that we'd be playing an NCAA tournament game, or that we'd be bringing 5,000 fans to Baylor for the opening football game, putting up 400 yards on them. It's just not something that we really thought of as a possibility. So to see these steps that we made in 4 years, it's been awesome.
It does change it, I think, how we look at athletics here. There is going to be more of an expectation for success now.
So from here on up, it's just we continue to move forward. We continue to be more known. So this is just kind of like a barrier-breaking moment.
I think these last couple of weeks have shown what kind of impact being a Division I university can be.
This experience alone is going to help all of our other sports here as well. And I think that's going to be really cool to see where this takes us in the next, several years.
I want this to just be the beginning. I want ACU to have its name spread across the world, and I think that's already happening. I was in DC just the other week, and a guy came up to me and said, "Hey man, congratulations on making it to the tournament." And that's not something that typically happens.
Just being in the tournament and playing a school like Kentucky, and just being there gave us marketing that money can't buy.
Our dedication to showing the world what this university stands for and the incredible nature and culture that we've built here, I think that speaks through all of the accomplishments that we've achieved, including making it to the tournament. ACU now has a national stage that they've been put on, and I think it's our time to uphold that.